Welcome to the Coop Tank. I'm your host, Steve Cooper, coming to you from SuiteRecording in beautiful Mount Laurel, New Jersey. And I'm here with my producer and my buddy, Joe Ganjemi, who I'm actually I'm getting pizza with after the show. I'm buying him some pizza. We're going to Crust and Fire, which is great pizza. And Joe, what's your favorite pizza topping?
Yo, Coop, you're the man. I can't wait to, grab some pizza with you. It's going to be great. My favorite pizza topping, I'm a little biased, I guess, because the last one I had was like a Supreme, which has just about everything on it. It had pepperoni, mushrooms, green peppers, and all kinds of good stuff. So pretty much everything. You really can't go wrong with pizza, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, now tell us a little more about SuiteRecording, because I always tell people it's a great place to be, but tell them why it's so great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So at SuiteRecording, we help brands and businesses to leverage the power of content like podcasts and YouTube and social media content to generate quality content and to amplify their message and to reach their audience in a fun, unique way. So we can help with everything from planning all the way through to recording and even publication. So if you're interested in learning more, contact me anytime at hello@suiterecording.com or visit us on the web at suiterecording.com. Again, that's SUITE. Take it away, Coop.
All right, we have a great panel today. You know, it's so funny. I'm looking at my group, and I just met one of them. I met one I got introduced to, and I met one a while ago. But I don't see them a lot, and it's great because and they don't know each other. And that always makes it great when people don't know each other because they don't have they're just more open. And my first guest from Maria Grande LLC, it's Maria Grande. How you doing, Maria?
Good, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And from EOS Worldwide, we have Mr. James Wisdom. How you doing, James?
I'm doing great, Steve.
And from DAS, that's Dynamic Advertising Solutions, we have Brian Bielawski. How you doing, Brian?
Good, Coop. How you doing?
Doing great. So Maria, tell us a little about what you do.
Okay, so I am a personal power speaker. I do some coaching. I despise the word coach, but give me something else to use in replacement of that, and I'll use it. I do a different kind of corporate training. I do kind of where I bring a humorous approach to self-awareness and personal development. So I do mentoring and all in the workplace. And then I also coach women with self-esteem issues, self-worth. I suffered a lot myself, so I do that. And that's it. I host women's events for empowerment as well.
That's awesome. And how about you, James? Tell us a little about what you do at EOS Worldwide.
Yeah, Steve, I work with entrepreneurs and their leadership teams to help them all get on the same page with where their business is going and how it's actually going to get there. I help them install the discipline and accountability so everybody in their business is working toward that goal. And I help them get along better so they're actually happier, more productive, and lead better lives.
Okay. How about you, Brian? Tell us a little about DAS. I love that. I love saying DAS. That's great.
Everybody likes to do it that way. So yeah, Dynamic Advertising Solutions. I'm a national brand specialist. So that's basically anything having to do with a brand of any shape, size, or form for any person or company or anything else that you might need. We help facilitate any of the promotional products, the apparel, the signage, anything you could think of in that hard marketing world. I love being that creative source for my clients as I have one of the easiest jobs in the world. Everybody uses brands, everybody uses swag, everybody gets it. So I get to talk to everybody out there.
Okay, so you're all in different fields, which is great. And, everyone has a story. And everyone always says, oh, everyone has a story. And I think most people do. There's some that don't. And then it's like, a guy who gets out of college, becomes an accountant and works for all these years. He doesn't really have a story. He's an accountant. But we all have a story of how we got to where we are. I've had different paths, and I've always fallen into stuff. And Brian, how did you end up doing what you do?
Well, that's a very long story. But I came from the creative angle of it. I went to art school. For a 4-year full kind of complement art school in the city, learned everything under the sun. And I started with a Reaper Graphics house that did blue line printing for architects. And I was basically a copy boy for a year, and they wanted me to start an art department. And I kind of rose up through the ranks in that situation, dealing with the AEC community, it's architects, engineers, and construction. And I started becoming more proficient in all the creative angles for that, and became a signage vendor initially for the company I work for now, because I was a signage vendor for them for years, and they used to call me every 6 months to come on board. And it was an easy move over from just doing signage to doing everything under the sun when it came to branding.
Okay. How about you, Maria? Because I know you have a story. How did you get to where you are right now?
Well, to make it short, I suffered my whole life with, self-esteem issues, self-worth issues, not going to college, not feeling like I could fit in anywhere. And then I just started on my personal development journey and healing old shit and really just trying to communicate better and understand my defense mechanisms in communication. And then that just put me into working for colleges, believe it or not, and which was the last place I thought I would be. But I worked for colleges, I did corporate training, workforce development, and I took everything over the years of leadership training, change management, communication in general. I took everything that I loved, and in 2013, I started my own business, and that's where I'm at.
Okay. How about you, James? How did you get to where you are? I know you're an author too. You've written a book and all this stuff. So what,
I grew up watching my mom grow an entrepreneurial business from our plaid living room couch with a million cold calls. So she's my inspiration. I went to school and I started leading marketing teams at big global brands. I worked at QVC and led their e-commerce division. I was with Accenture where I did work at Best Buy, Cargill, and United Airlines. I led digital marketing at Aflac. I led digital marketing at Randstad, like big companies. And I loved unlocking the potential of the teams around me to make awesome marketing. And I did some amazing programs, won tons of awards. But man, I hated the bureaucratic bullshit that goes on at those companies, like most people do. So I decided, I guess about 7 years ago, that I said, I'm going to be a smart guy. I'm going to start my own agency. I broke out on my own. I did that. I did really well for the first year and a half. And then all these issues started cropping up in my own business. And I was like, crap, I'd always been a great solver. Before I was the fixer, the guy you'd call if things were going sideways, but I couldn't really be objective with my own problems. So I asked around in my network, and two different people that I knew and cared about told me about EOS. So I read the book. I put it in place in my own business. I tripled my revenues over the next 3 years. And I had a midlife epiphany. It wasn't a crisis because there was no sports car involved. But I realized that when I look back on my career, what I was really about, what really fueled my fire, was unlocking the potential of the people around me. The people that I worked with all the way back in QVC, and I helped start their careers, and I gave them the support and the autonomy to be their best. I love that. So I decided I was going to become an EOS implementer full time, and now I do for others what was done for me, and I give that gift back to the entrepreneurial community.
All right, so that's great. So now you all have your shit together. You know what I mean? I just flutter around and drop it at things. I'm not a goal setter. I'm gonna tell you, I've never set goals, and then maybe that's something wrong. But I just sit there. I mean, I procrastinate, and so you guys all seem like you're goal setters. So the first half of this year is almost done. Do you have any second half goals that you have set for yourself, or are you starting to set goals for the second half of the year, Maria? Is there any goals you've set, or are you just not a goal setter, or what is it?
My goal is to set goals. Really. I am not a goal setter, and that's a bad thing if you ask me. I have them, but I don't do what everyone that I know that has a business does, which is the goal setting for quarterly and all that. And I really would love to start doing that. I wish that I had somebody who would just smack me around and make me sit down and actually do it. I am a fly by the seat of my pants type person, and it hurts. It does hurt my business. So my goal, I would say, is to set goals, like really, really sit down and figure out the rest of my year right now. It's been a year for me. It's been a crazy year, and I have not. The only goals that I set are short term, like I just hosted an event, so all my energy goes into that. So I really need to have somebody sit me down, and I don't like to do things alone.
Okay. Well, how about you, Brian? Because I know for the business you're in, there's all different seasons, and there's all. I mean, you're constantly people are not going to use this in the summer, and you have to project, and you deal with the shipping problems we had. But are you a goal setter? And what have you set? Have you set your goals for the second half of this year to finish out 2024?
Yeah, so being in the sales cycle that I'm in, the goals are a constant thing for us to meet our goals and set our goal structures for monthly, even. But we do pair out for Q3, Q4 on what's supposed to be going on out there in the industry. Start planning for new events, to be involved in new events, or at least reach out to them to see how we could be involved. Planning our business development and how that works as a strategy on a national basis. I have lots of clients in a lot of different avenues that do a lot of different things for signage or the events that are going on. So it really just it depends on what the item's going to look like once it's all done. But it's for me, it's all about the business development. And as when we met, it was through networking groups and what networking groups are going to work best for me and all the new ones that I'd really like to get a part of. So that's what I try to plan out my year, as to getting involved in certain events and certain groups that it's going to benefit my business and have me the ability to help connect other people as well.
Okay. How about you, James?
I got to tell you, Steve, you're talking my language and you brought up goals. I've got goals set for the year and I reset and follow my goals every single quarter. So 2 weeks ago, my quarters run from February to May. So from February to April. So at the end of last month, I actually sat down, looked at my goals for the prior 3 months. I hit some of them, I didn't hit other ones, but I've got goals going into this quarter, specific revenue goals, specific profit goals, and other measurable goals. For me, it's session days, and there's a couple of other things, but I've got very specific goals going to next quarter, and I've got goals for the whole year, and I've got goals for 3 years, and I've got goals for 10 years. So part of what I do is a really clear, specific and simple methodology to help people clarify their goals onto literally 2 pieces of paper. This is it, right? This is everything that I just mentioned rolled up in a big ball. And Maria, I got to tell you, I work with a lot of solopreneurs and entrepreneurs that aren't like big businesses, and I help them use this tool for themselves, because I use it for myself and I work with tons of them because I want to help them grow their businesses. I want to bring value back into the community. So absolutely, if you want to learn about this, I'll teach it to you and you can use it. And trust me, if you sit down, this takes me every quarter about 2 or 3 hours to go through and get really comfortable with. And I always reflect. And frankly, it makes me a better predictor every time I do it, because I get better at what I can really achieve in 3 months. But my goals are really they're the same thing as you guys. Like, they're around business development, how many events I'm going to have. I'm in the process of onboarding an assistant. I'm burning my boats in my other business because as I said, I was a marketing business, but I still have one last client. One of my goals is to no longer have him, no longer work with him. He's a wonderful person, but he doesn't need me anymore. And a number of other ones. But yeah, I'm really clear on my goals and happy to help you or anybody on the call, or frankly, anybody else set their goals.
Wow, 10 years. My goal in 10 years is still be breathing. I mean, that's how I think. That's how my mind thinks. Like, I don't sit there and think, oh yeah, 10 years from now. So you all have businesses where either there's competition or people rely on your personality. That's how you get your clients, how they do. So I'm going to start with you, James. I'm a possible client or customer. Why am I doing business with you? There's other people that do what you do, but why am I going with James Wisdom? Except for his name. We know he's wise.
Generally, I think it's about no bullshit. So I've sort of been there, done that. So I was actually on a call earlier with somebody, and I literally said to them, I said, listen, if you're sincerely interested in doing this, let's talk about it. But if you're not, you're just telling me you are, let's not waste each other's time, right? You have to really be willing to commit to EOS in order for it to be successful. So I don't pull people through the sales process. I just tell them the real deal, which is that there's 200,000 businesses running on this. Everybody that runs it and really tries to make it work, it's successful, right? It's proven at this point. Last year, businesses that were running on EOS grew at an average rate of 34.4% year over year. So I don't have to sell it that hard, but what I do need to do is make sure that they're committed. And I just try to be my real self, right? Like, I can't not be myself. I tell dad jokes. I talk about how my kids love to talk about farts. They're both boys. They're 15. I like to do karaoke. I'm just real because I can't be somebody else. And I think the people that glom onto that, the people that feel that and that feels right for them, I do well with. The people that don't, I had an engineering company. They clearly didn't think that farts were funny. They didn't hire me. Okay, that's fine. We're not a good match.
All right. How about you, Maria? Why am I coming to you?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at that. I believe that I bring a unique approach to it with humor. So the greatest thing that I ever learned to do was laugh at myself, laugh at my little idiosyncrasies, my personality style, my procrastination, all of that stuff, and that helped me actually develop myself more. And I bring a sense of humor to the training in self-awareness because I tell stories about myself. I tell stories about, I think people can relate to because it's a very real and raw process, personal development. And if you don't learn to laugh at yourself, you're always going to just kind of dismiss your own bad behavior. So in communication, I feel like what I bring to the table is a sense of humor that helps people really look at themselves instead of just sitting through a boring training. I do not like boring. I do not do boring. And so I make it fun and I make people really, I get to the point, I make people really understand it. So
Okay.
I think that's what separates me.
Okay. How about you, Brian? Why am I coming to you? There's a lot of people I can get stuff from.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff out there that do what I do, but for me, it's community. I like to say that I'm a connector first, and I'm a businessman second. I try to perpetuate that. Hey, I'm going to go out and help you first, and try to make a connection for you out there in the world. And my stuff just comes back to me organically. It works out in my favor because it seems to happen a lot that way. I really just I want to be that kind of person for everybody. Just again, to James Wood, just being real for people out there, just having that community set up, being that connector. How can I help you first? It's just easy enough for me to just go up against other people that have been business out there, and for me, it's been getting my face out in front of all the other people that I've been in front of, and that's been real helpful for me.
Okay. Now we know why people want to come to you, and I want to ask you about your personality. It's funny. Someone reached out to me on Facebook the other day. She went to elementary school and junior school and high school with me. I don't really remember, but she saw a picture of me on someone else, and she goes, "Oh, you had the same smile you had as a kid," and she said you were always kind and funny. And I was like, "Oh, that's good personality, kind." I said, "Yeah, I'll take that. Even though I'm a piece of crap." Now, I said kind, but for personality, Brian, we're going to start with you. What is a strong point in your personality that you're proud of?
Oh, that's a good one. Um, I would say my ability to overcome anything, my solution building. So I live by a mantra. I will either find a way or make one. I think that's served me well over the years.
Okay. How about you, James? What's a strong point of your personality?
I've got my 3 C's, which is I'm creative, I'm courageous, and I'm candid. So what that means is like when I'm in the room, with my clients, there's always stuff shoved underneath the carpet, and I have to be strong and courageous enough to pull that out, air it out, and make sure that everybody can solve these problems and move forward with their business, right? Because every business has got some things lurking in the shadows, and part of what I need to be able to do as an effective person in my role is to bring those things out of the shadows. So to me, that's courageous, and that's also that candidness where I just tell the truth, right? This is what I'm seeing with your business. This is where you guys are falling short, and this is where you're growing. So I gave you 3 instead of 1.
That's all right. How about you, Maria?
I would say compassion. Compassion for people and for myself, and I think that really carries over again in sense of humor, if you want to call it that, but self-awareness. It's really just the ability to call myself out on my own shit and be okay with it, laugh at it, and I think that makes people really comfortable and helpful.
Okay. Now we're going to stay with this. You told us what you're strong about your personality. What's something in your personality and when you can't say goals, Maria, you already said that you need to improve on. James, what's something that you feel when you look at your personality that you feel you need to improve it?
Well, I work too hard. No, I'm just kidding. what I really need to improve on is I'm still not organized enough. I still feel like I'm not getting enough done with the amount of time I've got. And that generates stress for me. So I'm definitely not as organized as I should be. Like if you were to be able to see my desk right here, there's like a stack of random papers all this way and that, and that eats away at me. So yeah, I definitely need some improvement there.
Okay. How about you, Brian?
Paperwork. Paperwork for me is the worst part. It's the, all the data that needs to go into, a CRM or something else that needs to go in. That for me is the worst. Being upfront and being handsy with people is easy. It's just the back end stuff for me is, it slows me down.
How about you, Maria?
I think I'm going to get really raw here. But for me, it's showing vulnerability. I don't do it well. And it's a form of perfectionism. And I really do truly believe that perfectionism is the highest form of self-abuse. You try to have, pretend you have it all together when you really don't. So I think for whatever reason, lots of reasons, that I've studied about myself, that I don't show vulnerability. That is probably my biggest weakness.
Okay. Now, this next question is the first time I ever asked it because I found out this morning that a good friend of mine, a buddy of mine in LA, he passed away last night. And I wrote something on Facebook about him, just a little blurb. He's a great guitarist. He was, we worked for ESP Guitars, a very cool guy. And I wrote something nice about him. And I didn't use AI because I'm creative and it was from my heart. But I was thinking there, one of my friends said, man, that sums him up perfectly. That being said, and we'll start with you, Brian. When you pass away, I know this is sort of morbid, but when you pass away, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want people to remember you by? Like saying, for me, I would say, oh, Steve was funny. He took care of people, whatever. But what do you want to be remembered by? Let's say your legacy.
Wow, that's thrown right into the bus with this one. I always tell people that I'd love to be remembered by, and I try to act like this now. Is they always say everybody's got a guy. I am that guy. I'm the guy to go to for any answer, any connection. Anybody that needs anything, come to me first. I don't know if it's about getting someone with their legs broken or painting a building or something else. Just ask, and I should be able to get it done.
Okay, so that's good. I always like that. I have guys everywhere, and I help people out with guys. But it's so funny. I have guys. I'm not even going to for some of the weirdest stuff. And one time I'll tell you guys the story off air, but it's very funny. I might do it in my act this weekend. Maria, what do you want to be remembered by? How do you want to be remembered?
Mr. Rogers always said this, find the helpers. Like you always want to look for the helpers in the world, like people who are just going to stop everything and help you. And that's what I want to be remembered for, helping people, being there when somebody needs me.
Okay. How about you, James?
I'd like to be remembered for having the largest head in my family. But seriously, when I pass away, I'd like to be remembered as having just done the right thing by my family, done the right thing by my kids, done the right thing by my clients, and done the right thing by the people that I interact with in the business community. I really try to make an effort to make choices that support and help everyone and generate positive outcomes for everybody. But that's really just sort of a squishy way to say I just want to do the right thing, and that's how I want to be remembered.
Okay. So you guys are all shakers and movers. That's why you're on the show. You got stuff going on. You meet a lot of people. You talk to a lot of people, and we talk. People talk about motivation. They talk about it on LinkedIn, and half the time it's bullshit. It's once again it's the AI of blah 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 blah. This is why you should do this. This is why you should be. They're telling me why I should be motivated. Okay, they're not explaining it to me. They're telling me, they're like, you should be motivated because of this. It's like, I'm Crazy Eddie's prices are insane. But I'm going to start with you, James. Truly, what motivates you? Like, what is your motivating factor that you get up and you do what you do? And what motivates you?
I really think it's connecting with people, right? So this week I had 2 full session days with clients, and in each one of those days, there's always moments, and sometimes those moments are really hard. Sometimes those moments are funny. So there's all different kinds of moments, but having those connections and building those connections really gratifies me. And when I am able to help a company or an individual, and usually it's an individual within a company, have like a real breakthrough, like an aha moment, like I had somebody this week say, "Oh my God, I get it now." Right? Like that feels amazing. Like to have that lightning strike and be able to foster that for them. I love that. So I really think it's about establishing connections between other people and myself.
How about you, Maria? What motivates you?
It's really simple for me, just making a difference. Like I want to make a difference in someone's life every day. And that sounds so freaking corny, but it is that is really what makes me feel good each day. When I lay my head down at night, that I made a difference in someone's life. That's it.
How about you, Brian? What motivates you?
This one's pretty easy too. It's family. I work every day, work hard, try to go out there to make sure my family's well taken care of and do my best by them. And, that, like I said, at the end of the day, you want to make sure everything's good for them. So that's why I'm out here kicking.
Okay, so you guys know why you get up in the morning. That makes sense. What motivates you. That's perfect. Well, let's talk about nighttime. When you're going to sleep and you wake up in the middle of the night, and if anyone says they don't go through this, they're full of shit. I still have the waiter's dream. And I don't know if you ever waited tables, but the waiter's dream is where you're sitting there, and I still have it. I've waited tables for years where the restaurant just keeps getting filled, and you can't get it. And then someone asks you for like tea, hot tea, and you have to go to the back, and you can't find the tea, and the manager's right there, and you wake up going, "Holy shit, I'm swamped. I'm in the weeds." But we all wake up with self-doubt, and if you say you never have self-doubt, I will say you're full of shit. Because I don't, it's when it's writer's block or it's stuff like that. But when you do have self doubt, when you and I don't handle this good. I dwell, and I think it's back from when I was in LA. You'd have a shitty audition, then you'd be like, then you wouldn't get the part. You'd be like, or you do a comedy show and the crowd, you had a bad set, which is going to happen. You'd be full of self doubt. Why am I doing this? I didn't humble brag. I didn't go on, the social media and go, "Oh, I should stop doing this." So people go, "Oh, no, you shouldn't. You're really good." I never did that BS. But what do you do, Brian? What do you do when you have self doubt?
Wow, I'm in sales and meeting numbers. Is self doubt every day. So if I'm in the middle of the month and numbers are not great, you start to sweat. What do I do? I self doubt. I mean, look, I rely on my experience. That's the only thing I can kind of go back to. The life that I've led, the things that I've done, I try to push forward outside of it, and try to know that everything's going to end up being okay, and don't sweat the small stuff. It just pares down easily to that.
Okay. How about you, James? What do you do when you have self doubt?
I'm being honest. I get my ass off the couch. So I tend to, like, if I'm stressed or I've got so much going on, like I just want to like step back and doom scroll social media and block it out, like put it to the side. I don't know if anybody's ever done this, and there's this voice in the back of my head that's going, "You got a lot to do. You got a lot to do. And part of me just wants to like crawl up and like pretend that doesn't exist. And literally, it's like pushing my leg against the pillow and pushing myself off the couch physically, so I'm no longer in that warm embrace, and I get up and I just start to do what I got to do. So that's the truth.
How about you, Maria?
So years ago, I named my what I call my ego, my inner bitch, and her name is Mariah. And so I talked to her and I put her in her place. She held me back for years, and my new approach is to change my state. Like I laugh at her now, telling me I can't do it, I'm not good enough, all of these things that, our self-doubt does to us, whether it's waking us up at night or, making us fear making changes. I talk her down, I laugh at her, and I move on. And when I say change my state, so I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice. When I say change my state, I mean my being. Like he said, get yourself off the couch. Yes, because when I'm down, I'm either laying in bed or I'm doing something, scrolling on Facebook or whatever, and I just get myself out of that state. I get out of this house, I go walk, I go do whatever I have to do to change my state, and then I remind myself of who I am. That's it.
Okay.
Maria, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So have you ever, do you know what positive intelligence is?
Yes.
Okay, because what you just described sounded like a lot like the judge and the avoider. Like I was talking about the avoider when I
Mhm.
was talking about mine, but yeah, I feel very simpatico with you in terms of what you go through too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
All
All
right.
about those behavioral styles.
yeah.
See that, man? I'm telling you, this is wonderful. Um, so Mother's Day was the other day, and my mom's turned 94 the other day, and my mom has bad Alzheimer's, and but she's always been was a smart woman, and I bring this up because she was very important in my life, and I have tons of people who are important, and my mom actually, when I graduated college, I got a sales job, and my dad was happy, but my mom knew it wasn't for me. And she saw a learning annex class in Philadelphia, how to get into stand up comedy. She said, if you're serious about this, do it. So I did. And I ended up having a good career in that before I left it. Now I'm back in it. But she was always important to me. And she also always told me always learn how to ask. That's what my podcast, Cooper Talk. I get big celebrities because I ask. Some people go, how'd you get that person? I go, I ask. And sometimes they say yes. And you go, holy shit, I'm here with David Duchovny. You know, so you ask and you get that. So my mom is very important to me, even though there's been tons of people. I want you to give me one or two people, and I want you to expand on why they're important. 'Cause James, you said your mom doing the cold calls and all that. You can use someone else. But or you can use her. I want you to give me one or two people that have been very important to who the person you are now. And just tell me a little why they made a difference. And we'll start with you, James. And you can use your mom if you want, or you can use someone else. But tell me someone who's very important to who you are now. Not when you were a little kid, but to who you are now.
Yeah, I already talked about my mom, but I had a mentor, this wonderful woman named Ivy Chin at QVC. And this is when I was first starting out in my career. I was just a web developer, right? Writing code. And she saw something in me, and I don't know what it was. I was really, at that time, I was more organized than I am now. And she wound up promoting me to lead that team, the development team, and she really backed me. Like she supported me, she believed in me, and then I wound up moving over and leading the .com team after that. So I was promoted twice, and she just was like an incredibly soft touch. Like when I was going astray, it was never like intense or harsh. It was like, hey, listen, have you thought about this, or have you thought about that? And I remember when I was hiring, she's like, always hire people that are better than you, that are smarter than you, they'll raise you up. Like she always gave me such amazing advice that to this day I still think about, and I still talk to her. So one of my most precious relationships definitely had a huge impact on me. And I try to bring that impact to other people too, because I want to pay it forward.
Okay. How about you, Maria? Who's someone who's been important in your life?
So of course, my mother, of course. I mean, I just lost my mother in January. This was a very horrible Mother's Day for me, but um, she was everything. She was everything. She did everything. She had two jobs. She had six children, a husband who did nothing. Like she just did it all. And I if I could emulate anyone, it would be her. There's been a lot of other people in my life who have lifted me up, especially when it came to what I do now, which is about self-worth. A lot of people in my life have come along um, just at the right times, tell me to shut the hell up when it comes to putting myself down, or believe in myself in so many different ways. And there is just one gentleman who is wonderful. He was one of my earliest clients in 2010, and he runs a business, and he became a mentor of mine. And he's wonderful. He's actually been trying to get me to do the goal thing, and really really just moving forward in every way possible. And those people, I'm telling you, they're put in your life at the very best times. That's how it's happened for me anyway. But that's it.
Okay. How about you, Brian?
So I kind of look back and in my past years and go, my grandfather was a very big proponent on my work ethic and how I have done things throughout the years and how I've approached things throughout the years, and gave me that sense of honor and how to deal with people on a regular basis, and just have that work ethic that goes into it. It was very important for me growing up. But my professional one would probably be my first real boss, Frank Cianciulli. He kind of sat me down. We started out that relationship with I wasn't sure if I was going to pick his job or another job. And I moved him around as, your early 20s. And he said, look, shit or get off the pot. And really, maybe choose him to, go with him and learn from him. And he showed me how, professionals should act, and brought me into the world of knowing how things could be, and, kind of looking at the future of, how people act and how they did things and why they thought certain things, whether good or bad. That really gave me a big life lesson, to start my professional career. And, I thank him to this day. He's no longer with us, but he was a great mentor to me, whether he knew it or not.
Okay. So you all have had good business lives. You all seem like you're doing well. You're well adjusted. You're not maladjusted. It's good. Well, maybe you are. I don't know. I can't tell. I mean, you might be just like crazy. I mean, James Winston might be like having dead squirrels in his basement. I don't know, James. I'm just saying. But
Sorry, no.
okay, well, good. Thank God. So as we get older and we age, success changes, and our ideas what success is not the same as it was years ago. I always say, I wanted to be a star, and now I'm glad I wasn't, because I actually like the quiet life. I mean, I've lived the insane life, and I like the quiet life now. I like sitting at home with my wife instead of being at a bar trying to schmooze and, all that bullshit. But what is success to you, Maria? Now, when you look at it, what is success to you, and have you achieved it?
Yeah, I feel very successful. I think to a degree, my idea of success is that my children, I raised my children to be good people. I'm there for my family. I have people to go to when I need them. I run my business. I mean, I don't think there's any one thing. I think just being for me, it's being self-aware and happy, and recognizing when I'm not happy and being able to pull myself back. That's successful to me. It's not linear. I really don't believe it is.
Okay. How about you, Brian? What's success to you?
Success is fleeting. It's not about the success. It's about being comfortable. And if you can live in that state of, finding that lane that works really well for you, whether, that like life work balance or, anything else, it'd be great to, be able to afford whatever you can, whenever you can. That's awesome. But, being comfortable in your own skin, being comfortable around your family, make sure everyone around you is comfortable, I think is the most important part.
Okay, it would be good to afford anything. I saw a documentary the other day, and it
Sure.
was the cachopo king. It's just this Spanish meal, and I was like, I want to fly. I told my wife, I said, if I win the lottery tomorrow, we're flying to Spain, and we're getting cachopo. And I was like, I want to get that. I don't even know what it is. I saw it anyway. James, what is success to you?
It's doing what I love, which I'm doing, with people that I love, which I'm doing, and making a huge impact. Being compensated appropriately for what I'm doing is nice, and I'm also doing that. And having enough time for my family, my friends, my passions, and travel on the side. Like, really, it's all those things in balance is success to me. It's not just about money. It's not just about a title. It's really about everything working in harmony and having a good life that meets all the criteria I just described.
Okay, so we, in this session, I guess a session, episode, whatever, we've mentioned networking a few times, and that's how I all met you, through networking. And I think networking has really changed. I think networking has gotten, since the pandemic, it's gotten, our avenues have opened up more, because Zoom let us meet people. Like Brian, I would never have met you, because I would never go into Pennsylvania to meet you. Nothing against you, but I'm not going to. You know what I'm saying? So people got to know people, and we build our networks, and we build it. So that being said, this is a two-parter. One, and we'll start with you, Brian, because I know I know you're out there all the time. What do you love about networking? And then two, what don't you like about networking?
Wow. What I love about networking is meeting new people. I'm a very social guy. I love meeting new people, having new discussions, just spinning that wheel a little bit, and how it works out there in the networking world. Whether or not I'm going to do business with them or not, like I said, I just like to be well connected. What I don't like about it is the grind. It's a lot. It does wear you down. You're at the end of a week where you're out there 3 or 4 nights a week. or you're doing a lot of breakfasts or lunches, it starts to build past your time to do business, and it's really, it does take up a lot of time. You just have to find that balance that works real well for you.
Okay, how about you, James? What do you like and what do you love and what don't you like?
Well, I was thinking about what I don't like, and what I don't like is the first 5 or 10 minutes of any networking situation. I just feel like cold, and I gotta like warm up my chat muscle. And then once I'm sort of talking to people, I can like really enjoy myself and connect with people. But that first 5 or 10 minutes, I hate that. I hate that so much. A lot of times I'll look for somebody that is wearing something a little different. I'll be like, I'll just roll up, be like your shoes, and then that just like busts me through it. I do like that. I think networking has come back with a vengeance since the pandemic. I don't know if you guys agree, but I will tell you, it just seems like, at least my perception of it, is that there's a lot more going on. People are actively doing it, and I think everybody, after having had it taken away, they appreciate it more now, right? So that's my perception, is that it seems like things are coming back in a big way. So, and I love that about it.
Okay, I want to give a quick thought on that before I get to you, Maria. It's funny. I think what happened is there's a lot of organic networking events popping up, because what happened was before it was like Jets versus Sharks. You were in a chamber and you were this. Like you had your areas. You didn't really go out of those areas. But then during the pandemic, we went, holy God, there's so many people there. And then you'd say, hey, I'm doing this event because I can, like, there's like 6 killer free events, and then like Maria, yours was a pay event, but you didn't have a membership. I think that's what's happened a lot. I think there's just this feeling of organic, and people, you're right, James, they missed it, but it's like now we know so many more people that it's like, wow, I can throw an event, instead of 12 people showing up, maybe 60 will show up, or like your case, Maria, 100 show up. So I think that's changed a lot. But that being said, Maria, what do you love about networking, and what don't you like about networking?
I love, of course, meeting new people. I love learning about people, what they do, how they impact the world. I'm going to get really raw here. I hate, I hate when somebody is just in it for themselves and they just throw that card in your face and they're like, this is what I do. And they don't understand that you're there to meet several people, or 20 people or whatever, just so you could kind of, get that first, initial meeting done, and then you maybe see them around. But some people will hold you and keep you there and just keep talking, and they don't ask you shit about yourself. They just want to tell you about them. I see how this is my Mariah. This is her, because when I show up, I'm like, I almost wish it was like speed dating, and you can just tell people what you do and move on to the next person, because I find it, that every time I go, people don't want to let go of the talk. I'm like, I'm here to meet other people too, So I know that was long-winded. Sorry.
Oh no, it's funny. I love when you guys get long with it. It means I don't have to ask as many questions. It's as easy as that. Okay,
Maria, that was great, by the way. I've met plenty of people who just come out of the barrel and just want to sell you right then and there at a networking group. And you're like, you're in the wrong space. We're not having a sales meeting. We're in a network meeting. Like, just build the relationship first.
Okay, I'm going to expand on this question then. We're going to start with you, Brian. Why do you think people do that? Why do you think? Because you talk to people and they say this is how you should network, and we all talk to networkers, and you go, just don't be that asshole. The card. Here you go. Here you go. Here you go. So why do you think people still do that, Brian? If when they have to know that they're not getting any feedback, and these are the same assholes who sit there and bombard you with emails, and you try to unsubscribe, and it's like, oh, it's a weak link, and you're stuck in their damn past. But why do you think people do that, Brian? Why do you think people are card pushers?
Well, I attribute this to people who are not real good at networking. It might be their first foray into networking, and they don't know how it's really done. Give them that little bit of life lesson that works that way. But it's the new sales guy, or it's the new job that they have that they're trying to really push out there, and they're fighting and clawing and scratching into getting new business that's done in front of them, or they have metrics to meet. That's where they're just trying everything out there without realizing there are better ways of getting it done. And again, we attribute to networking as the new cold calling. You don't have to cold call anymore if you're networking correctly. So I think that might be the reason why they're pushing so hard on that stuff.
Okay, how about you, Maria? Why do you think they're doing it?
I agree, totally agree with all of that, by the way. But I think it's almost like desperation. Like it feels like a desperation to me. And I don't mean that they're desperate. I just feel like, yes, it is awkward. It's awkward to put yourself out there. I struggle with it. So I know that that's part of it, and you just want to kind of grasp to someone, especially if you're not really a networker, if you're not really a social person, and you are comfortable with somebody, maybe you don't want to leave that person. Like again, you say when you walk into a room and you're like really uncomfortable and the first 5 minutes suck. That's why, like I try to have compassion for people, but then, somebody will keep you way too long, so I think it is an awkwardness.
How about you, James? What do you think it is?
I, I was just going to say, Maria, I have the immediate thing I thought of was I was at a networking event, a chamber event near me, and I ran into a friend of mine who's an entrepreneur, and she was clumped up with people that she was friends with outside of the chamber. Okay. And I rolled up to her. I said, "Oh, hey, it's great seeing you. You're not allowed to stand here and just talk to your friends. You got to talk to people. You got to network." And she's like, "How do I do that?" Like she literally didn't know and she didn't feel comfortable. I said, "Listen, in this space," her name was Michelle. "In this space, Michelle, it's okay. It's completely acceptable for you to walk up to people talking, wait for a pause, and say, 'Hi, I'm Michelle, and this is what I do.'" Like that's totally, she said, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, watch, I'm going to do it right now." And I turned around, I walked over to a group of people I'd never met before in my life. I waited patiently for there to be a break in the conversation. "Hi, I'm James." And I think there's a lot of people that situation just isn't, they're not comfortable with it yet, right? So getting it, it's really painful, really a really frightening experience. Then you have the folks that are sales, the sales development people that just want to spew their card out. And I think that's also because of fear. They don't realize it's really about relationships and not about awareness, right? Like, oh, if they know I'm a real estate agent, they'll call me. No, there's a million real estate agents at these networking events. They're going to choose the ones they like, not the ones that act like that. So you have to actually talk to people, get to know them, find if you've got things in common, find if you've got a similar attitude toward the customer before they're going to give you any networking business, right? So I don't think they realize that's how it works.
Okay.
Can I
Now,
add to that?
yeah, sure.
Okay. I'm that person that will stick with the people that I know because I'm really not good at talking about myself. I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable doing it. So it's going up to somebody like that and just, telling them what I do. My 30-second commercial sucks. I really need to work on it. But I'd much rather hear somebody than to talk about myself. So that's a problem. And I believe that's a problem for a lot of people.
Well, also, I'm going
I'll
to say
tell you.
something. I'm going to say something real quick about not talking about yourself. It's funny when I moved back from LA, I worked for my friend's company, Coit, and I would go to a lot of events, and I worked for Coit. I never told anyone I used to be a stand-up comic. I never told them I interview all these celebrities, and I remember I did a benefit for my friend Dave Evans, a Crohn's benefit, and there's all these people from the Chamber of Commerce. And they came up and go, "Oh my God, you're really funny. You're sort of off color." I said, "Well, that's life." And they said, "Why don't you ever say anything about it?" I said, "Because when I go to network, I'm going for Coit. I'm not going for me. I don't need to prove. I don't have to. I don't want to talk about myself. I don't want to be that. When we all have read a job, the new guy who tries too hard. You know, the guy, hey, and you're like, shut up. But I think that's what it is. I think a lot of times we don't want to talk about ourselves, but in the same vein, we got to get our message across. Were you gonna add something, James?
Yeah, I was going to say that my general policy, not 100%, but 90%, is when I roll up to those groups like I was describing before, "Hi, I'm James Wisdom." The next thing that comes out of my mouth is, "What do you do?" Right? Because then you get the person talking to you and they want to talk about, you've given them an entry, you've invited them, and you actually patiently listen and pay attention to what they say. And I really try not to tell them what I do until they actually say, "Well, what do you do? Tell me about yourself." It's only occasionally some people will not, "Well, hey, would you like to hear about what I do?" "Oh, yeah, okay." But I ask them first, and it makes it a lot easier because they're talking, and then you're absorbing, and the conversation started. So that's how I
Okay.
do it.
Steve, I'd love to add into that as well. The other thing is that I notice is you never know who you're going to meet and who they're connected to. One of the biggest parts about networking is, again, there's a million financial advisors or realtors or anybody else, you may not be able to do business with them until they realize that's going on, but you don't know who their connections are that you might be able to connect with, and vice versa. So I've seen a lot of instances out there where people are amazed at, like, oh, you know this guy, and hey, we could do business together, or hey, can you make a connection for us? And that really helps build that relationship even more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the part where I usually bitch about LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, and I've been on all your pages, and it's good. I mean, Brian, you do what you do. You put the products up. That's what I want to see. It's great. James, I see you promote stuff. Maria, you promote stuff. And the reason I'm going to bring this up is I'm going to bring this part up because earlier, Maria, you said you don't like the term coach, and I'm going to tell a quick story. I've always told people that I don't like the term rock star. Okay. Now, for my other podcast, Cooper Talk, the other day, I interviewed Greg Camp, who's the lead guitarist for Smash Mouth, who wrote the song All Star. Okay. And then it says, you know, you're a rock star, get your show on, get paid. So I asked him, I said, Greg, you know, you traveled the world, and the lead singer died, who lived the rock star life. I said, what do you think of, you know, an insurance person using the term rock star? And I said, because I hate it, because you're not a rock star. That's something you earn. It's like a doctor. And he said he hates the fact that it's just become a term. Because he's like, yeah, have you slept with 20,000 women? Have you, you know, but it's a term. And that's the thing I hate about LinkedIn sometimes. People just use these terms. They give them, it's like giving yourself a nickname. Like if you know, Brian, if you said, hey, just call me Brian Baba, it'd be like, you can't give yourself a nickname. You know, I can call, you know. But so that's the one thing that I don't like about LinkedIn, that people, you know, they're self-proclaimed experts. They're, you know, everyone is a coach. There's more business coaches than there's people that have businesses. But Maria, we're going to start with you because you said you hate the term coach. So that's probably something. Is that something you hate about LinkedIn when people overuse that term? Or tell me something you don't like about LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think that I feel everybody is using words. It's kind of like when 2020 happened, and everybody was like, pivot. I was like, if I hear the word pivot one more time, but coaching, it bothers me, I guess, because of, I don't feel like I am a coach. So it bothers me because of that. But everybody is a life coach now. Everybody's a whatever coach, you know, coach, whatever. I feel like I use my own story to help me help others. You know, that's it. I don't know that I would call that a coach, but I don't know what else to call it. So on LinkedIn, I think people doing what everyone else is doing bothers me, whether it's on LinkedIn or not. But I feel like that whether it's terminology or just the way that you're trying to sell what you do, I feel like everyone is a follower. It bothers me a lot. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, how about you, Brian? Because I said you use it perfect because you show different kind of gear. You had some, I mean, and you know how to do it. But is there certain things, is there something that bothers you about LinkedIn? As I said, for me, it's the rock star. And the other thing that bothers me is people are all now putting these pictures up. I swear to God, I see some of these pictures that people put up of themselves. And it's like when I lived in LA and you go into your agent's office and they had all the headshots on the screen. And it's like, oh, we're sending these people off audition. People are just doing stuff that's like, not even business-wise. It's like, hey, I'm sitting here with a bonnet, you know, holding some milk because I'm trying to, I mean, it's like, it's just the craziest shit sometimes. Like, this isn't Hollywood. If you want to be in Hollywood, you know, sack up, take an acting class, and move your ass out there. But this is LinkedIn. My heart rate probably went up on that one because I just saw it today and it pissed me off. No, but Brian, what is something that you bothers you? Because as I said, you use it perfect. I mean, you use it for, I want to see what you're selling. This is what you do.
Yeah, Steve, I kind of agree on your point. It's not Facebook, it's not Instagram. That's the one thing I don't like about LinkedIn is if people will either get political or they're going to put up their personal information, and you don't mind too many things, especially with a new jobber. That's easy, right? But you know, when they start getting everything about the kids and the dogs, and like, if you want that personal information, this is a business platform. I think if you want to keep it business, you can keep it light, you can keep it funny, you know, you can keep it regular. But if you start getting into those realms, I think that's the one thing that turns me off about LinkedIn is some people are still thinking of it that way. And there are many other avenues to take that instead of, I just had a discussion with one of my cousins recently. I saw him getting a little too political. I'm like, dude, like, this is not the place for that. But yeah, a little bit of professional advice. go take it somewhere else. I said, I'm happy to talk to you anywhere you want and see it anywhere else, but you don't want to have this on here because you're going to be judging a professional atmosphere for that because everybody you know is going to see it. So I think that's probably the best way, the best thing I don't like about LinkedIn, what I get to say.
Okay. I think I'm going to post that story about the rock star, though, because that really does irk me. And I actually was talking to a rock star. And I talked to someone, Joan Jett's guitarist, Ricky Byrd. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's toured the world. I said, what's it like to be a rock star? And you know what he said to me? I'm not a rock star. I'm just a guy who's lucky enough to play guitar for his living. That was it. It wasn't like, and that's like, oh, well, shit, I wish I had that kind of life you had. James, what is LinkedIn? What is something that irks you? What irks you, James Wisdom? What irks you?
I think this discussion is really interesting because I think what I'm learning is that Steve Cooper and Brian and Maria all have a different preconceived notion about what should be on LinkedIn and what shouldn't be. My attitude is, listen, you put out there what's authentic to you, and that's it. I don't give a shit, right? If someone wants to post about their dog, great. Post about your dog. If you want to post glamour shots from when you were down the Jersey Shore at the surf mall in OC, go for it. Like, I don't care, right? I want people to be as real as they can. And frankly, it's kind of hard to put your real self out onto LinkedIn. I struggle with it myself. So I don't know. I don't get irked by that kind of thing on LinkedIn. Now, when we talk about everybody branding themselves a coach, I don't worry that much about that because I'm kind of sort of a coach. I mean, what I talk about in my session is I'm a teacher, facilitator, and coach. So part of what I do, I own that. But and there's as you said, there's lots of coaches out there, but I really don't think I don't mind that because people are gonna hire people that they have a rapport with and a relationship with, that they trust and that they find credible. And some of them aren't going to find me credible. Some of them aren't going to trust me. Some of them aren't going to have the relation, and that's okay, right? I'm not going to be able to reach everybody, but maybe somebody who's a brand new coach who doesn't have great life experience but has a great connection with somebody, maybe they make that connection. So I don't mind that there's people out there calling themselves coaches as long as they're helping and acting ethically. Rock on with your bad self. Be a rock star as a coach.
Oh man, no. You're not a rock star. Come on, you're not a rock star.
Can I say something to that?
Sure.
I think for me, it's my own self-esteem. It's my own issue that it's like a projection, right? So I'm projecting that because I don't feel like you said, some people resonate with you, some people don't. And so I guess that's like maybe it's an inferiority thing. Like, I feel like I shouldn't be able to call myself that because I'm just a normal person who is trying to help people. Does that make sense?
And we're going to call you a rock star coach just to piss you off. So, okay, this is going to be a short question. And I know, because I'm sure you guys all are business book readers. I may be wrong. I'm not. But what's a book, and we'll start with you, James. What's a book, a business book that you've read that's made a difference for you? And just give me a quick, brief summary why.
I mean, the one that's made the biggest difference in my life was Traction by Gino Wickman. I've met the author. It's like a complete packaged process for people to run their business, and it freaking works. Like, I think that I've read a lot of business books that are like pie in the sky, like they're sort of ivory tower where it's lots of great ideas but none of it's applied. So they're entertaining to read. You go, yes, that makes sense to me, but how do I actually do that? That has been in a lot of books, I think, lacking for me, whereas Traction's really about this is how you actually do it so that it will work for you, and that's why it's my pick.
Okay, how about you, Maria?
I think for me, I don't think it's an actual business book, but for me, it's my business. So The Power of Vulnerability by Brene Brown, huge for me. It made me really understand how to impact people, that I'm trying to reach. So I know it's not like a how to type book, but that was the most powerful book for me.
Okay, how about you, Brian?
So Lord of the Rings doesn't count? No, I'm kidding.
You can say Lord of the Rings.
No, I mean, I really don't. I should read more business books. I certainly don't. The one that stands out in my head is Eat the Frog by Brian Tracy. It's about getting things done ahead of time and just getting the worst parts of your day finished right away so you can move forward and expand on the rest of your day. So that's one that stands out in my head.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, now here's the last question. You guys have been great today. The last question. Someone comes up to you. You know, they can be getting out of high school. They can be getting out of college. They can be getting out of trade school. They could be starting a new job. They can just try to be, just getting their shit together. They want answers. They want to know how to, what path do I follow to make something, get something out of my life. Maria, what's the advice you give someone that comes up to you and tells you that?
I think, and I do work with, with women with self-esteem all the time. I think it is imperative that you understand where you came from and where you want to go, and to be perfectly happy with who you are right now, and not judge that, not judge yourself by what other people have, and to work hard on getting where you want to be. That's it.
How about you, James?
Know yourself, right? I think, and that's hard. I think the younger you are, honestly. But I think really look inward and understand where your strengths are, your weaknesses, your desires, your ambitions, and follow those, right? It's not just as simple as follow your dreams. I think being honest with what you're really good at and where you really perform, and aligning the general direction you're heading along those strengths is the best plan of attack.
How about you, Brian?
Be at service, knowing that you're going to be helping people along the way, knowing that you are going to be dealing with people who are trying to help people along the way, knowing that everybody has a job to do, and having that availability to help everybody along the way when they do it.
Okay, well, this has been great. Thanks for coming on today, people. Maria, how can people get in touch with you? How can they find you?
MariaGrandeLLC.com. I'm on all social media as Maria Grande LLC. It is Grande. A lot of people say Grande. It doesn't matter to me. Either way, it means large, Maria. So whatever, but that's it. Maria Grande LLC.
And in charge, large and in charge.
That's right.
And now we'll call James Wisdom Grande Cabeza, because he said he has a big head. James, how can people get in touch with you?
JamesWisdom.com is probably the easiest thing to remember, so I'm just going to say it one more time, JamesWisdom.com. Okay.
And how about you, Brian?
So I'm in that big head club myself, James. I know the feeling. Hats are not our fans, but the best way is to find me on LinkedIn, Brian Bielawski on LinkedIn. DAS, dynamicadvertisingsystems.com or solutions. Good God, I said the wrong name. So dynamicadvertisingsolutions.com.
Okay. So people, I'll check them out for what you need. You can go do me a favor. Go to YouTube, search the Coop Tank, watch some past episodes, drop some comments, and follow us. Also, you can get in touch with me at the Coop Tank at yahoo.com. If you want to advertise on the show, please reach out to me. The people who do my show are the shakers and movers in the business world, and the people who watch my show are a lot of them too. So it's a great way to get your brand across. Also, don't forget June 13th and 27th, Speakeasy Stand-Up is the show I host. It's in the Soundplex Studios in Pensacola, New Jersey. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue. I'll be doing some networking events there too. That's Thursday, June 13th and Thursday, June 17th. You can email me for more information. My networking group, Cocktails with Cooper, the next one is June 5th. We had 65 people last time. Come in. It's free. Run your own tab. The Phillies are playing, so it's $1 hot dogs during the Phillies game. So it's $1 hot dogs and happy hour, and that's at Splits Bar and Grill in Laurel Lanes in Maple Shade. Also, my my entertainment podcast, go to coopertalk.net. I want to thank Joe Gangemi and Rich DeSisto, who's not here, but Joe's my producer. He's the man with the plan. If you have any podcasting needs, please reach out to him. You can email them at hello@suiterecording.com. When you hear this, it's going to be Memorial Day weekend. So you all have a safe Memorial Day weekend and drink some beers and enjoy the sun. I'm Steve Cooper, and I'll talk to you next week.